guys, I'm Laura Vitale, and on this episode of Laura in the Kitchen, I want to show you how to make some delicious and flavorful ranch chicken burgers. I'm just going to call them chicken patties because the way I love to serve these, and if you follow me on Instagram, you will have seen this. I love to serve these like on their own with like a vegetable. I love my spicy garlicky kale, which I've got a recipe on my website, and like some roasted sweet potatoes, and then I make these burgers and I serve them with a lemon, like a lemon garlic yogurt sauce. Phenomenal. You don't even need the bun, but if you want to put them in bun, even better. So you do you. They're just fantastic, delicious, and easy, easy, easy. Let me run you through the list of ingredients because it's not very big. You will need some ground chicken. Now try getting actual ground chicken and not just ground chicken breast because there is a difference, and I prefer the plain ground chicken. You need some paprika, onion and garlic, zucchini. And so you'll need some dry ranch mix along with just a tiny, tiny bit of oil and some salt and pepper. Now this is the ranch mix that I make myself, and if you have seen my original video on how to make ranch dressing, then you will just use the dry mixture that I made in that video. But you can also use store-bought ranch dressing mix if you want to. I've been there. I'm not ashamed to admit it. Many, many times you just use the pre-made things because it's easy. And if you don't have a pantry full of spices and you can make your own blends, it's very tempting to buy the thing that's pre-made because then you don't have to spend a ton of money on all the different spices. So whatever floats your boat, go for it. The first thing I'm going to work on is actually grating my zucchini. Now ground chicken can be quite dry, so adding some ground zucchini is going to add so much moisture. It's going to keep them really juicy and flavorful, but there is a trick that I need you to do. So I'm going to use about half of this, a little more than a half, not a whole one, because I'm only using a pound of ground chicken here. I'm just going to use my box grater to grate my zucchini. And now what I want you to do with this is I want you to just sort of squeeze any excess liquid out of it because I don't want the burgers to be too wet. So you just kind of take some in your hands and you just squeeze all of that out and add that right in. I might do the other little bit of zucchini as well, maybe. I'm switching to like a microplane, like a big microplane here, and I'm gonna grate in some onion. Now, if you've got a really big onion or a medium-sized onion, then you'd want to use half. But as you can see, this is like an itty-bitty little onion, so I'm probably gonna use most of it because once you grate it, you're only left with a couple tablespoons of grated onion, and that's what I want. I want just a couple tablespoons of grated onion, and that's usually from a small one or a half of a medium-ish sized onion. And I never go to the very bottom because that slips, and I don't want to cut myself. Then garlic, doing the same thing with my garlic. And these are going to be really easy and really flavorful, but they're also fantastic. Just going to throw that in there. They're also fantastic if you want to make a big batch of these and you say you're having a party the next day or something like that. Make them ahead of time, pop them into the fridge, and the next day you cook them either on the grill or in an indoor grill pan, a skillet, whatever. And then you need about 2 tablespoons of your ranch dressing mix. Add that right in, really lovely. I added my paprika in there. And then I need some black pepper. And then a small pinch of salt, like so. And then I add about, just to my fingers, about a teaspoon or so of extra virgin olive oil just for flavor and a little extra fat. And then I just kind of mix everything together. It's really lovely and flavorful, but this mixture is quite sticky. So you're gonna have to just be careful and just be prepared. Get your hands real dirty. I've got a plate here that I've lined with some plastic wrap, and I'm just oiling it a little bit because this mixture is quite sticky and it will stick. And I also have a little bit of water here because I want to form this into 4 patties. But like I said, I'm going to need to keep my hands damp in order to do this. See how it doesn't stick? And don't work them too much because I don't want them to be really compacted. And anytime you make burgers or patties, make sure you put a little divot in the middle so that as they cook, they kind of spring back up into a perfect round. Beautiful. And now I'm going to do the rest of the burgers, going to form them, and then I'm going to cover them with plastic wrap, and I'm going to pop these into the fridge for about an hour or so. They really need time to firm up a bit because like I said, these are really delicate. There's no binding in here. So they just need some time to set up in the fridge. And then I will show you what they look like when they're done. And then we cook them and then we serve them and then we eat them. All right, my burgers were in the fridge for about an hour. Make sure that before you cook your burgers or any kind of meat that you take it out of the fridge for at least 20 minutes for it to come to room temperature a little bit so that you don't end up with a really tough product at the end. So I'm making this in a skillet indoor. You can do this, I'm doing it in a non-stick skillet with just a tiny, tiny bit of avocado oil in there or just like a really light olive oil, something that has got a high smoking point. When I say a little bit, I mean like, look, I just put enough in here to basically like coat the bottom of the pan. It's not even enough to really saute or anything. But I'm going to talk and do this at the same time. I have done this in a non-stick skillet. I've done this in a cast iron skillet. And I find that because the chicken has no fat, in a cast iron skillet, for me, and I've got a Lodge, I've got a Le Creuset, I've got a bunch of different ones, they all stick. And I think it's because, and mine are pretty well seasoned, and I think it's because the chicken just doesn't have enough fat. So I'm just going to use a non-stick skillet, but feel free to use anything that you want. Now, this hand's dirty, but I want to run you through what I've done to the yogurt sauce that I'm going to serve it with. I've got some plain Greek yogurt, dill, grated garlic, a little bit of extra virgin olive oil. With my clean hands, I'm going to add a pinch of salt, a squeeze of lemon, and I'm going to just whisk or just combine it all together. Combine all this together. I'm going to cook my burgers for about 4 minutes on each side, and then I'm going to come back and show you what they look like when they're done. Don't they look beautiful? Now they cooked for about 3.5 minutes on each side. They look magnificent. They smell even better. I didn't touch them for about 5 minutes because you always want your meat to rest before you cut into it. And I'm just going to grab this little guy right here. Look how juicy. Look at that. I want that. And I also really want a little bit of this garlicky dill, lemon, creamy goodness. I'm just going to cut right into it because you know why? Because we're friends. And I want you to see this. I'm a messy eater. Look at those burgers. I mean, look how juicy and beautiful they look. I'm a messy eater, so whenever, like as soon as the camera shuts off, I'm gonna cut this all up into a million pieces, mix it with that yogurt sauce, and like it's gonna be divine. It's like lovely and flavorful, super juicy. That garlicky sauce is really garlicky, so if you don't want to add garlicky, I would just say use like 1/4 of a clove of garlic because when you grate garlic, it just becomes a lot stronger than if you would go ahead and chop it. The burger is phenomenal, full of flavor, really juicy, definitely something that I think can stand on its own. I want you to see how, like, when I love something, I want you to understand it, but like, look at that. You see that? That is perfection. The zucchini did the trick. You don't really taste the zucchini in there, but it did the trick of keeping these burgers really moist and delicious. And when you see the thumbnail of this video, you'll see that I'm serving it with kale and sweet potatoes, which I think is perfect, and that's how I think you should serve it. So go to laurainthekitchen.com, get the written recipe. I hope you enjoy spending time with me. I will see you next time. Bye.